Hello, welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. He is anonymous. He actually doesn't want to come on screen, which is totally fine. He is a 49-year-old gentleman. He's 6'2", good-looking guy, Caucasian, has a professional job, financially stable. So a great catch all around. Lives by the water, has a nice place, and in Los Angeles area. So today I'm just going to chat with him. We will call him AD, as it says on the screen here, and just find out what his thoughts are on dating. And because this is the Asian Dating Podcast, of course, I want to talk to him a little bit about Asian women as well. So welcome to the show, AD. How are you?
Hello, May. How are you? I'm glad to be on.
Thank you. Thank you. We talked a little bit before we started recording that, the pandemic, dating, Asian, divorced, all this stuff. So tell me a little bit about you and how you're doing with your dating life and kind of who you're looking for and what kind of guy you are and why is dating so tough for someone like you?
Well, and we spoke about it earlier, and I think some of it goes back to, I call it the post-COVID dating world, where we're so reliant on, social media, electronics, dating apps, of course, that we sort of, so I've been divorced now 5 years. So I was married with the same person for 8 years, married for 6 years to the same person. So dating is I'm still adjusting, but it's been 5 years, so it's not completely new to me now. But it's much different than it was, back in the day before all of this that we had, social media apps and everything. I do feel that we have lost our, I don't want to say edge, but our openness and ability to meet people out in public, when we're at the grocery store or we're, at the dry cleaners, or of course, if we're at a restaurant or at a bar where people are, there to be social, even now. And maybe some of that is, like I say, post-COVID, it's people are a little bit more closed off as far as their personal space. And I think that needs to change. I think that needs to go back to the way that it once was, when we used to go out with our friends and we would be, we'd buy a drink for someone sitting next to us, and it was cheers, and it was that sort of, I don't know, camaraderie and interaction. I feel like is sort of is missing currently in the dating world.
Have you gone out to a bar or something and wanted to buy a lovely woman a drink and it wasn't taken well? Like, are you trying to bring those things back in the dating life as you're going out and about?
Nothing specific that didn't go well, and from that standpoint, just because it doesn't really those opportunities haven't really presented themselves. And yes, I've been out with friends, and it's just you can sort of tell that people are just not quite as open or friendly to talking to people that they don't already know, or they didn't come to the desk that venue with already. And that's kind of what I'm steering my, I guess, commentary towards is that. And not just that, like I said, if you're at the grocery store and you're out running errands, I think men and women alike are less likely to talk to one another when they're standing in line than they used to. That makes sense.
So in the ideal world now, let's say you go to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or Safeway or Vons or wherever, how would you like the woman to let you know she's interested in carrying on a conversation? What would your ideal interaction be if you're at the grocery store and she finds you attractive? How would she start a conversation with you? What do you deem is acceptable for her to, quote unquote, make the move?
Well, I mean, of course, it's my job to make the first move. I guess if she smiles at me, that's a good start. That's kind of where I go like most of us. I get coffee in the morning, so I'm Starbucks most mornings, and I feel like maybe that's where I'm kind of using using it as a microcosm, because I'm like, okay, now we don't have to wear masks anymore when we go to these places, but it still feels like we are. Maybe more friendliness and awareness. People just seem to be going about their business a lot more than they are, being, like I said, being more open to others and open to meeting people. And maybe all these people are single and available, but I guess I'm just, like I said, I'm speaking more in generalities from that standpoint.
So if someone goes to Starbucks and she's a young, attractive woman who might be interested in getting to know you, what do you suggest she do to get your attention?
Well, if she's interested, then yes, if she smiles at me, says hi, or I don't make a casual comment about, you know what I mean.
What kind of casual comment? I mean, come on. I'm just trying to help the listeners out there. Like, if they run into you at Starbucks, how would they start talking to you or get your attention?
Well, I mean, usually I'm dressed business casual. So most, and in Marina Del Rey, and most people don't dress that way. So I would say that would be most non-threatening conversation usually starts with that. I usually get a, wow, you're dressed around here.
Oh, sorry. I think we got cut off a little bit. So you're saying she should say, "Oh, you're dressed up nicely. Where are you off to?" or something like that. Like, as a conversation.
And again, I'm not saying she should make the first move here, but you asked me what could they say.
Yeah.
So these would be good prompts, and they would definitely get me into the conversation. And they usually do. Even if, like I said, even if a guy asks me, "Hey, what do you do?" Because I'm dressed way differently than people in West Los Angeles, I feel. Right. To me, that's a good starter. And I like I said, it would definitely engage me, and I would definitely pursue that conversation, whether if it was just casual or if it actually went somewhere.
Right. Okay. So let's say you're at a bar and you like someone there, you find someone attractive. You, as the guy, would you offer to buy her a drink? Is that old fashioned now, or how would you get her attention now as a guy?
I wouldn't say it's old fashioned. It's definitely something that I still do and try, but I don't think, I think that's a way, if a woman is sitting with a bunch of her friends and they look sort of hard to approach because it's hard to walk up to a table full of women and you're by yourself or just with one of your friends. So maybe that's a good way to engage them from across the room. But if I'm standing at the bar, I mean, it's easy to me, it's fairly simple to just walk up to somebody and start talking to them, ask them what they're drinking, who they're there with. If it's a place that is really like fun and hopping, ask them, do you guys, is this your spot? Like for example, there's this place, Scopa Italian Roots, and you've probably been there. It's on Washington and Venice. That's kind of my spot. I go there a lot. I know all the drinks. And so that sort of helps when you meet somebody there and you know the bartender and you go there, you know what I mean? You like going there for dinner. So if you find a place that you both frequent, I think conversation comes fairly easy.
Okay. So what are you doing now with your dating life? Are you doing online dating, and which apps are you on?
Yes, I am doing online dating. I'm on Hinge. Actually, I'm only on Hinge right now. I used to be I did the Tinder and Bumble thing. Didn't like Bumble just because I like the men's got to have the ability to make the first move, and Bumble doesn't really allow that. But Tinder, I was feeling like there was a lack of quality on the site. And I heard a lot of that from women too. So I'm saying it wasn't unilateral. I just feel like Tinder started to fall out of popularity. I went on Hinge. I've definitely had a lot more dates on Hinge the last year or so since I've been on it. More professional women, definitely. Yeah, it's been better results. I mean, in the last 2 years, I've had two girlfriends. One was about 4 months long. The other was about 6 months long. And I met them both on Hinge. So
what do you look for when you're on Hinge? What piques your interest when you're looking through the profiles on Hinge?
Usually, it's changed. I would say usually now, if I can find, and this sounds crazy, but we've talked about I'm in sales. It's a lot easier to get along with people when you have obviously similar interests. And when I go out with a woman that's in sales, it doesn't have to be medical sales. It could be any kind of sales. It's more often than not, we're going to get along pretty well. And that just speaks to the fact that if you're in sales, you know how to talk, you know how to listen, you know how to ask questions, you know how to carry a dialogue because you have customers that you can't just talk. You can't stand in front of them and just talk about your product or yourself. You have to, you've got to dig in and find out, there is a process to it. And in some senses, dating is a lot like it. I mean, you don't want to sound like you're interviewing the person, but I've been on a lot of bad dates where the woman didn't ask me anything about myself. And that still happens to this day. And usually it happens with people who've never been in sales or never held a job or you deal with the general public. So I would say, to me, that's like number one right now. I would say 1A would be where the geography in LA. I mean, I've done the dating somebody in Orange County or in, the Inland Empire before, living in West LA. I sort of now, I mean, I know it sounds a tad bit lazy, but I would prefer dating somebody, whether, what I mean, Brentwood, Santa Monica, West LA, Manhattan Beach. It just takes too long to get places. I don't want to throw a further complication into the process, at least so early on.
So when you're on Hinge, you like if they're close by you, maybe within 20 miles or 20 minutes?
20 to 30 minutes. Usually
Okay.
that equates to a lot less miles, as you know.
Okay.
But yeah, 20 to 30 minutes.
And someone in sales, because you're in sales, so someone in
Right.
sales, you naturally feel like, okay, this is going to be easy conversation or easy date.
Right.
Okay. What if
And
she's
again,
not? What if she's
again-
not in sales? How do you do you like women that are not in sales? So it sounds like you probably like women more of an extrovert or talkative kind of person. So
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
So
you're definitely onto something there. And that has not always been the case in my dating life. I think I was more open-minded to when I was younger, but I've been on so many bad dates where I'm so extroverted and they're so introverted, on these specific bad dates that I'm having in my mind or replaying in my mind. I just don't even want to take a chance on it anymore. Like it just says if she's a librarian or she, again, works from home, to me, that's almost a red flag at this point. And what I mean by that,
Really?
yes,
Well, she could be an extrovert and she works at home. I work at home and I'm an extrovert.
you are. So yeah, let me rephrase a little bit. It's not a red flag,
Okay.
but like I was talking to you earlier about my ex-wife, when things were going well in our relationship, I felt it was when she had to get up every day and go into an office, socialize with people, made a ton of friends, created a whole social network for herself, social circle, that we got along better because it wasn't all of our communication wasn't based on how we were communicating with each other. We had lives of our own, and I feel that matters a lot too. I don't want someone like that's the working from home part. I know that's very broad. So it can't be, I mean, especially now, so many companies are doing that. So I can't be closed off to it. But I have had a lot of dates where that was a common denominator. They worked from home 5 days a week, ordered all the groceries from Amazon Fresh. You know what I mean? Like, so they had the social interaction. My overarching theme was missing.
Right.
In their daily life. And we went on dates, it showed.
Right.
To me, it showed. They just weren't very cognizant of, like we're talking about, asking people questions and getting to know them.
So you are 49 and you're 6'2". So do you want kids? Like what age range are you open to meeting? But what age range of the women?
I do not want kids. That ship has sailed for me. Now, not to say that, because obviously some women that are in their mid to late 30s are going to want kids still. So now, luckily on the apps, that we're talking about the apps here strictly again, you have to say open to children, want children, or don't want children. So I don't even bother if they say want children. I don't even bother swiping right on those because there's no point. That's wasting everybody's time. So, but you don't know that if you meet somebody in public, you don't know that about them. You don't know if they have kids. You don't know if they want kids. So that's why I still love the whole idea of meeting organically, because you sort of need to, if you get along with the person, you'll probably make more concessions on some of these. And that's where I feel like the apps have become commoditized, where you didn't meet them through a friend, you have no other connection to this person, you didn't meet them at work, but it's so easy to be like, oh, they're too old, or oh, I have a dog, they don't have a dog, or I have a dog, they have a cat. It sounds so basic and rudimentary, but I feel like that's the mentality that we've all taken now that dating on apps is so I guess prevalent. I mean, it's like taken over, and that's part of my complaint, I guess.
So, but you're 49. What age range are you open to? Are you open to someone 49 or older if you're not wanting to have kids?
I wouldn't say I'm open to somebody a whole lot older. 40, my age would be fine. I normally have dated 5 to 10 years younger in my life. My wife was 10 years younger than I. Meeting somebody in their early 40s would be perfect, because usually at that point they don't want to have kids anymore either. That's just been my experience. So that's kind of I guess you could say the age range I would prefer, 40 to 50.
What if they already have kids? Are you open to that?
I am open to it. They cannot be young children. That I would not be the right guy for.
So they should be at least 16 or 15 or?
Yes, at least
Okay.
the teenage age or older.
Okay. Okay.
Just because there's a reason why I didn't have kids. I don't especially gravitate towards them, and vice versa. So I don't know. I wouldn't be a good boyfriend if you had a 5-year-old. I don't think.
Right. So I've known you for I don't know how many years, but I always thought you were going to marry someone Asian. So I was actually surprised that your ex-wife is Caucasian. So tell me, are you looking for Asian women on these apps or no?
Yeah, I'm still very much interested in Asian women and very attracted to them. As you know, I dated a lot of Asian women when I was in my 20s and 30s. Uh, as far as culture wise, I love the culture. We texted about this last week. I love the food. I love more appreciation to the culture than I think I did when I was younger. I'm pretty much white women and Asian women are pretty much what I'm looking at specifically. I just get along with them the best for kind of different reasons. So it depends on the person. I think if they've grown up here and we have that, much like yourself, we have that in common. That helps if they grew up in Southeast Asia and they're new to the country. Not as much because the culture. It's too. I mean, I grew up here. I haven't lived anywhere else besides Los Angeles in my life. So I guess I'm a little bit limited from that standpoint.
So someone Americanized, Westernized.
Correct.
Okay. Or born here. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Is there specific Asian countries you like, or does it matter? They're all the same Asians?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that they're all the same, but I'm pretty open to the different ethnicities. Yes, all of them.
Is there a difference? Can you tell the difference if you look at them? Like, can you tell if she's Korean, Japanese, Taiwanese, or Thai or whatever?
Usually, yes.
Okay. Okay. Is there one country you like more than others?
Not really. I'm pretty open.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so why should someone date an Asian woman? What is your opinion? Like if you're talking to your guy friends, like tell me what you would why are you drawn to Asian women?
Well, I'm definitely. I mean, to me, they're very attractive. I mean, there's no question. I had mentioned to you that Asian women have beautiful skin. Usually, they work out a lot. They're very fitness conscious. So that I am too. So I guess we align ourselves, and that's I still work out 4 to 5 days a week myself. So that's important to me. And usually they're in pretty good shape. They're also usually very nice. They're usually a lot sweeter. I guess sweet is the word I'm looking for. We are kind of generalizing, of course, but usually if you were to compare an Asian woman to a white woman on average, white women are a little bit more outspoken. Sometimes they can be crass. Sometimes they speak their mind, way too much. Sometimes it's a bit much and it's overwhelming. And Asian women are, not that they don't speak their mind, but they seem to pick and choose their battles better.
Okay. So your ex-wife, did she have the characteristics of what we were describing? And then you guys just grew apart?
Yeah, she did. She did. I felt like there was after a certain point in our marriage, the giving and the unselfishness sort of faded away. And it was just all about what each of us wanted. And I'm sure I was guilty of that as well. But I feel like it was not surprising that she got stir crazy and this wasn't enough. Our marriage wasn't enough. Whatever was the ultimate reason why it didn't work out, and those were all part of it. I think some of that stems from, I don't know. She worked in Beverly Hills in fashion industry. It's sort of part of the culture. Relationships aren't, I don't know, I thought of to last. In some senses, the whole LA thing, and I don't know. Asian women's aren't really. They don't look at things that way. They don't look at it through that sort of lens. Just like I said, they're a lot sweeter is the best word that comes to mind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. You don't need to tell me that. Just kidding. Okay. So can you describe your deal breakers as a guy dating in LA, living by the beach, great job, tall, good looking guy? Like, what are your deal breakers when you meet the women?
So when we're if we're in the courting process, if let's say we're whatever dates 2 through 6 or whatever, that when you're really there's mutual interest, you've gotten past the first date, and you want to get to know the person better. You want to do some different things. You don't just want to go out for a drink. Maybe you do something physical. You go on a hike or go on a run or go down by the beach with them. One of my favorite dates is, since I live right by the beach, on like a third or fourth date, is to do like a beach picnic, and I bring some music and wine and charcuterie board, and kind of do something nice. Can we do those things? Are we compatible? Do they enjoy those things? I sort of have a coastal lifestyle. Not only that, but do I feel, and this is actually where I'm going with this more, are they participating are they making me do all the work to plan every date and have no say? I guess that's a deal breaker. If I meet someone who I go on a date with, we text after the date, thank you, great, had a fun night, then I don't hear from them for days upon days. And I'm like, hey, let's do something again. How about we do this? And I get very little communication and response. That's a turnoff. Like, I don't have, if you're interested, then let's go out again. If you're not, don't waste my time. And I feel like that happens a lot, especially today with, it's like, if we had fun, let's go out again. I don't know why the guard is up so much. I feel like it. And if I'm planning a fun date, have some input. Tell me if you don't, if a next date, if this isn't what you want to do, then speak up. Be part of the process. I feel like a lot of women, especially on the apps, they don't participate in the courting process. They put 100% of it on the man. And I think there should be a little bit of back and forth, some dialogue. We should be able to text between dates, even if it's about small talk stuff. I dated this girl recently, and we went on 4 dates, but I felt like between every date, I never heard from her. Mm-hmm. And when I reached out to her, it would take her forever to get back to me. And so that doesn't make me feel enticed to ask you out again, if that's the feedback I'm getting.
Right. So you want someone who would show an interest and communicate and let you know, like, oh, that's a great idea, or, oh, that's a great idea. Can we also bring this, or can we also do this? Like, show some excitement. It sounds like that they're just letting you impress them. Like that's
yes, that's a good way to put it, actually, because I feel like with a lot of women that I've been out with the last couple of years, that's been sort of the thing. It's like I'm there to impress them, and they're just sitting back and have their heels up and just evaluating me. Is this the guy I want to be with? And after 2 or 3 dates, that's fine. But if we start to get to know each other better, there's got to be mutual interest. I got to know that you want to come see me in Marina Del Rey. If I'm driving, if I'm going 30, 40 minutes out of the way to see you, is there, do you want to, if I asked to make you dinner, that's actually a real true story on this, it would have been a 5th date, and I wanted to make her dinner because I wanted her to, hey, see, because she lived in West Hollywood. So I wanted her to see, hey, this is what the West LA is about, West Side, the West Side, the Marina. I want her to see where I live. I want her to be able to get to know more about me. And it was such like pulling strings to get her to, pulling teeth to get her to come here. And I didn't think it should not have been that hard to pull off, frankly.
Especially on the 5th date, that's when she knows she already likes you, right? Because after the 3rd date, maybe you guys have already kissed or got to know each other better. So yeah, if she really liked you, she would have been like curious about where you live and reciprocate the excitement. It sounds like that's the thing, right? You want someone to show that she's excited to meet you too, and to want to see your place. I would totally want to see a place of who I'm dating, or to see if I can be compatible with him long term. So yeah, that's surprising that after the 5th date, and West Hollywood to Marina Del Rey is not that far away,
Right. Well, you know how LA traffic is, but yes, it can be a lot.
Okay.
But the point is that you're right. She should have wanted to come over. I was offering to make her a vintage Italian dish that anybody that's ever had it's never complained. So I didn't think it would be that difficult to get her to come down here. But and that's kind of goes back to some of the underlying themes. It's if we want to meet somebody today, we need to be more open. We need to be more open to new ideas, not just what fits in our comfort zone, as far as I can only go out on a Tuesday, or I can only go out on a Friday, or I'll only go out with a guy that has a dog, or, I mean, I'm using them as examples, but they actually have come up. Like, so I don't have a dog. I feel like I'm losing out. Like I'm missing out on the dating pool.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, women love when men have dogs, especially large dogs, big dogs. Like they're like so wowed by it. So
It's
so
true.
cute.
I never thought that was the case, but it is true.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. Okay. So now you are open to someone in their, you said in their 40s to 50, right?
Yeah, I mean, late 30s would be fine, but they have to not be interested in having kids. But yes, in that range.
And close to the West Side, right? But you said someone should be open-minded and stuff, but yet you're pretty stuck on the distance yourself.
The distance I am stuck on, I admit, just because I've wasted a lot of time dating women that were too far away. If I met somebody through a friend or through my work and they lived in Irvine, let's say 45 minutes away, an hour away, it would be different. But I'm not going to, somebody on the app, you don't know them yet. There's no connection. I'm not willing to invest that much to someone who I just don't know at all.
But what about just talking to her on the phone first? Or if she's open to meeting you halfway and meet in Long Beach as your first date? Is that something that would make you more open-minded? Like, what if you did a Zoom video call as your 0 date and then go out on a real date?
I don't know. I'll consider it. It's not, I just, like I said, I didn't come to this conclusion lightly. I sort of, the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year sort of limited people closer just because I felt like I was the one that was doing all the work as far as getting to them, planning the dates. And it was just too much work, driving wise, time wise, for very little return. Not that I wouldn't, like I said, if it was somebody who I met through a friend or work, I feel like you just have more tied to the interaction and you'll do more.
Okay. So do women not contact you on the Hinge app? Like, would you be open to meeting somebody if they contacted you first, or you basically just want to do the picking yourself?
Of course I'm open. I mean, it doesn't usually happen that way, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think women on the apps are used to getting bombarded with emails and whatever likes or whatever they get from, depending on what it's called, depending on the app. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, occasionally I'll get somebody but it's so rare that reaches out to me on the app. So it doesn't happen very often.
So when you reach out to a woman on the app, how many text messages do you go back and forth before you ask her out?
So I've learned from this. I think the consensus, I think most women would agree, a few, 4 or 5. But you don't need it doesn't need to go on and on and on for days, right. which is what I think. When I first started, that maybe I dragged it on too much before I pulled the trigger and asked them out. But I kind of learned from that because women have told me that there's no point, and that's true. Get to it maybe not after the first text, but like I said, after 3 to 5, it sounds like you probably have a little bit in common. Whatever they see that I'm Italian, I'm in Italy, we're chatting about Rome or Florence. Usually it's stuff like that. Or they played sports. They see I played soccer. She played softball, and you can pick up on a couple of things that you have in common, and that's not really all it takes. If you're connected already, you probably think the person's attractive. So that's probably already established. And then
you ask her out, like you say, "Hey, are you free on Wednesday or Friday? Let's go out and get a drink."
Yep. Okay. Usually I'll try to give it a week's notice or a few days. Okay. Like I'm not going to ask her out like the same day or anything dumb like that. But I'd be like, if it was like a Monday and we had gotten to this point in the text chain, I would probably be like, "Are you free later in the week? Did you want to grab a drink?" In some cases, yeah, depending on how well it's going, I'll be like, "Do you want to grab dinner?" And I'll just skip the drink.
Right.
I'm open now, depending on how much chemistry there is early on. But if we're not really sure yet, then usually it's just a drink and some apps or whatever. There you
go. Do you prefer to talk to her on the phone first before you meet her in person, or you just let the text app make the date and then you go from there?
Everybody's different on this. I prefer to just not to talk on the phone.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I prefer just to go off of our interaction over the app, and that's good enough. I would say most women agree. Occasionally I'll get someone who wants to do like a phone call and a FaceTime, depending on how well it's going. I have done it before. I don't like to do it, but I have done it.
You don't like jumping on the phone or jumping on a Zoom call?
I don't like talking on the phone to someone. I talk on the phone all day for my job. So I don't like talking on the phone to somebody who I don't know and I have nothing vested in them. Not to say I don't talk on the phone to people that I'm in a relationship with. That's very different. But it's not something I want to spend my Wednesday night doing after I've worked, a full day.
You rather just meet them in person and engage that way.
Yeah, because what do I have to lose? One date? I mean, to me, that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, if we don't like each other, we don't vibe off of, in an hour and a half or 2 hours, it's over. I never have to talk to the person again. That's fine. I'd rather do that than spend time talking to everybody on the phone that wants to do it. So.
Okay. No, I like that. The fact that that's why you want to date someone who's close by, right? You just want to meet them in person, and that's even better than Zooming somebody in Irvine or something. So right. I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So that is sort of my strategy, I guess. You're right. Because they live close by. I don't feel like I have anything to lose to meet them for a drink. I'll do that with anybody.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So if you were to speak to all the people listening, not that I get millions of listeners, but in case there is somebody who's looking for you, how would you describe her? And, if you were reading me your profile, like, can you describe this ideal woman that you would like to go on a date with?
Yeah, I mean, definitely somebody who, like we mentioned, I mentioned earlier, somebody who is physically active, who likes to either, doesn't have to be a heavy workout, but someone who does something, physically, whether they're out running or riding their bike, or if they like to go to the gym. That's what I like to do. I've dated a couple of women that I've actually gone to work out with, and that's fun. Even though we're not like doing the same exercises or anything like that, but it's fun to go, to do that with someone you're dating. Somebody who's social, somebody who's in, who could be in sales, but something at least that requires you to go out and interact with people for your daily job. The staying home and locked in your apartment ordering, groceries off the internet. That's not who I'm looking for. That I want someone who's, because if you have to go out and challenge the world every day, it's not easy in LA to get around places and to go to meet people. And so, I feel like that's sort of a test to, someone's ability to interact and hold up, at least in the beginning, how to hold up a rapport, how to start a rapport and hold it up into a point where you can see, are you going to be compatible to move it forward?
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Okay. So if there's any listeners out there that is interested, just let me know. Well, I almost said your name. So what other things do you want to touch on regarding dating that we missed? Like, is there something that you wanted to express?
I mean, yeah, I think that should be the message that I want to lead today, is that it shouldn't be this difficult to meet somebody in our 40s. It shouldn't be. It is, but there should be ways that we can maneuver to be able to meet people in a way it's not so painstaking to do. Like, it feels like it's such a battle. And like, even when I go on the apps, I'm like, oh gosh, I got to do this again. It shouldn't be that way. It should be more open. And I think people should be, less narrow-minded about things. And yes, you caught me on a couple things where, everybody's going to have their deal breakers, but the less of them we have, and I think the better.
Yeah.
And I think it shouldn't be a commoditized process where you have a list, and if someone hits 7 out of 10, you go out with them. That's where, go on a date with them, do that first date. If you can get along with them, you may get along with them, even if you have 3 out of 10 things in common with them that you have on your list or whatever have you.
So how many dates are you going on a week?
I haven't gone on in a couple of weeks, but I do have one tomorrow night. And I've been talking to somebody who's one of your competitors. I won't say the name of the company, but they're also in LA. A dating service reached out to me. But so normally I would say 1 to 2 a week.
Okay, good.
I usually try to do one midweek, and then like a Friday is usually a good day I don't know, it's not quite the weekend, but it is. Yeah, like a Tuesday and a Friday or a Monday and a Friday or something like that.
So how else do you spend the rest of your time when you're not dating, when you're not going out on dates? What do you do,
Well,
for fun?
my
What do
parents
you,
my parents live in Pasadena. I go see them probably every other weekend. I usually stay over when I go there. So that usually I usually go on a Saturday and have dinner with them and sleep over. And so I see them a lot.
oh, good.
I mentioned I'm pretty active. I work out 4 or 5 days a week. I don't know. I'm kind of like on these last few days. It's been so cold and rainy. I've been streaming shows and watching. I've been binging on Amazon Prime and Paramount Plus.
What are
So,
some of your favorite shows that you like to watch?
right now I'm watching Paramount Plus. They have a lot of good stuff. I like grittier, like detective action. Well, not action, but more. There's a show called Mayor of Kingston I'm watching right now with Jeremy Renner that I really like. Tulsa King is another one that was with Sylvester Stallone. He hasn't been on in anything in years, so that at least television wise. And then the old classics, Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is probably my favorite of all time, I would say.
That's awesome. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on dating with me today. And if there's a nice single woman out there, Caucasian or Asian, who would love to meet this bachelor, you can email me at may@twoasianmatchmakers.com. And ladies, if you're out there looking for someone fabulous, I would love for you to be part of my database. So check me out at twoasianmatchmakers.com, and please like and subscribe. And thank you very much for being on my show today. I will see you guys later.
Thank you, May.
Bye.